What's up, light bearers? Welcome to Light Tab, a Viviset podcast. My name is Melissa.
And I'm Emily.
And to my right, I have...
Sam.
And to my left...
Emmanuel.
Hey! Emmanuel's first time on the podcast, you guys.
Hey.
Yay! And in today's podcast, we have a good one. I'm excited because we have some talented people here. Mm-hmm. And I got questions. You got answers?
Yes. Hopefully.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about
talents.
And for talents, we're going to be reading Matthew 25:14 through 30th. But before we get started in reading, just as a disclaimer, this is a light tap into the conversation. Mm-hmm. We're not doing a deep dive. This is not like a full-on Bible study. We're going to break it down and this is the meaning. No, we're talking about talents. We have scripture here, and then we're just going to have a conversation just like you would with your friends anywhere you're at. Mm-hmm. So let's get started. Emily, you'll read it in English and then I'll read it in Spanish.
Alrighty. Let's see. Okay. It states, "It's also like a man going off on an extended trip. He called his servants together and delegated responsibilities. To one he gave $5,000, to another $2,000, to a third $1,000, depending on their abilities. Then he left. Right off, the first servant went to work and doubled his master's investment. The second did the same. But the third man with the single $1,000 dug a hole and carefully buried his master's money. After a long absence, the master of those three servants came back and settled up with them. The one given $5,000 showed him how he had doubled his investment. His master commended him. 'Good work. You did your job well. From now on, be my partner.' The servant with the $2,000 showed how he also doubled his master's investment. His master commended him. 'Good work. You did your job well. From now on, be my partner.' The servant given $1,000 said, 'Master, I know you have high standards and hate careless ways, that you demand the best and make no allowances for error. I was afraid I might disappoint you, so I found a good hiding place and secured your money. Here it is, safe and sound, down to the last cent.' The master was furious. 'That's a terrible way to live. It's criminal to live cautiously like that. If you knew I was after the best, why did you do less than the least? The least you could have done would have been to invest the sum with the bankers, where at least I would have gotten a little interest. Take the $1,000 and give it to the one who risks the most, and get rid of this play it safe who won't go out on a limb. Throw him out to utter darkness."
Ooh. I like this. This is the Message translation. Yes. I really like that. All right. Mateo 14:29. En el reino de Dios pasará lo mismo que sucedió cierta vez cuando un hombre decidió irse de viaje. Llamó a sus empleados y les encargó su dinero. El hombre sabía muy bien lo que cada uno podía hacer. Por eso a uno de ellos le entregó 5,000 monedas, a otro 2,000 y a otros 1,000. Luego se fue de viaje. El empleado que había recibido 5,000 monedas hizo negocios con ellas y logró ganar otras 5,000. El que recibió 2,000 monedas ganó otras 2,000. Pero el que había recibido 1,000 monedas fue y las escondió debajo de la tierra. Mucho tiempo después, el hombre que se había ido de viaje regresó y quiso arreglar cuentas con sus empleados. Llegó el que había recibido 5,000 monedas, se las entregó junto con otras 5,000 y le dijo: «Señor, usted me dio 5,000 monedas y aquí tiene otras 5,000 que yo gané». El hombre le dijo: «Excelente, eres un empleado bueno y se puede confiar en ti. Ya que cuidaste bien lo poco que te di, ahora voy a encargarte cosas más importantes. Vamos a celebrarlo». Después llegó el empleado que había recibido 2,000 monedas y le dijo: «Señor, usted me dio 2,000 monedas y aquí tiene otras 2,000 que yo gané». El hombre le contestó: «Excelente, eres un buen empleado y puedo confiar en ti. Ya que cuidaste bien lo poco que te di, ahora voy a encargarte cosas más importantes. Vamos a celebrarlo». Por último llegó el empleado que había recibido 1,000 monedas y dijo: «Señor, yo sabía que usted es un hombre muy exigente que pide hasta lo imposible, pero eso me dio miedo y escondí el dinero bajo tierra. Aquí le devuelvo exactamente sus 1,000 monedas». El hombre le respondió: «Eres un empleado malo y perezoso. Si si sabías que soy muy exigente, ¿por qué no llevaste el dinero al banco? Así al volver yo recibiría el dinero que te di más los intereses. Entonces el hombre dijo a sus ayudantes, quítenle a este los 1,000 monedas y désenlas al que tiene 10,000. Porque al que tiene mucho se le dará más y le sobrará. Pero el que no tiene nada, hasta lo poco que tiene, se le quitará. All right. I know that was a long one, but if you haven't read your Bible all week, this was this was good.
Well,
all right. Who got to say something? Well,
I was about to say something, but
It's okay, go for it.
go, dale. Sam.
Ya se lo olvidó. Ya se me olvidó.
Okay, pues. All right, first question for the people. Do you feel, because we're talking about talents, so when I talk about talents, we're talking about, the topic of today's podcast sucedió porque estábamos hablando con Ana, which is not here, but shout out to you, Ana. And we were talking about how we have different skills. I'm not here to whatever, but I feel like I am good at different things when it comes to serving God. I'm not just like a one thing and I'm good at one thing. I can dab into different things, and I feel like I can do a good job. But en muchos de nosotros cuando vamos a la iglesia a veces como que confundimos nuestro talento con nuestro propósito. Y a veces pensamos que tenemos que hacer como nada más una cosa, como que, okay, si soy un cantante, solamente puedo ser un cantante, and that is it for life. So es como tipo como college.
Yeah.
You go and you choose what degree. Your major. There you go. Yo no me sé ese term, yo no fui a college. Pero you choose your major y es como que ahí que te quedaste, ahí te vas a quedar, ahí donde vas a invertir todo tu dinero, todo tu tiempo, y es como que okay, ahí estás, this is the only thing that you chose, and so you're gonna study X amount of years for this career, and then when you get out, you're gonna be in that career until you retire, right? So es como que puedes escoger como una cosa. Y lo mismo hemos puesto, yo creo, maybe I'm wrong, if I am, you can speak up, pero lo mismo I feel como que hemos puesto como en las cosas de Dios, cuando vamos a la iglesia, como que tenemos que escoger una cosa que hacer y ahí te tienes que quedar for the rest of your life. And so, we were talking about that, well, what do you do when you're good at a lot of things? Then what? Do we do them all? But then if you do them all, I've been there when I have been but I'm good at everything, so let me just do everything right now. And then I'm super burnt out.
Exactly.
So then it's okay, hablemos de talentos. Do you guys, my number one question, not number one question, but my first question will be, tell me a little bit about your talent that you feel like God has really placed in you, if you're serving in that, or have you served in that, or do you have many, or tell me a little bit about yourself today.
Why y'all looking at me? Yeah. I'm you go first. I've been seeing y'all been looking at me. I'm
You're a mí
everybody went. I was about to say, why y'all looking at me like that? Okay, well, I've done a lot of things in church. I mean, I grew up in church, and I've been people
very involved.
Yes, I've been really involved in church. I've helped out with teachers, maestras. I've been part of the choir team. I'm worship leader, director de alabanza. I help out in the sound team. I do practically a bunch of stuff. Me and my brother Emmanuel are PK. So
yeah.
So at a point, it's well, you're the last resort. Who else is gonna do it? So at a point, it feels like that. But when you're doing it for God, when you're it
just comes from the heart.
It just comes from
and you
the
just
heart.
do it naturally. No se te pone como un peso, como que again me. You just do it out of your heart. The kind of just out of your heart.
Yeah. So I feel yes, there is some things, because when you're going through life and all of that, you are gonna find yourself in different seasons, different temporadas, donde things are gonna be like this one day, but in another day they're gonna be totally different, and that's totally fine, because in life you're gonna keep progressing, and not everything stays the same. I
Yeah.
mean, so I feel like what it has helped me a lot is like I've let's say I've put let's say my priorities on some other things and this and that, and I make sure I get them done until I feel like, okay, I've grown in this part. Okay, it's now time to progress and see what else there is out there. What is there in need of? So yeah, I feel like it's been like that for the both of us. I mean, I've had to. people when I was young, they'd be like, "Boy, that boy doesn't know how to sing." I've heard people who well, from testimony, they were like, I actually didn't believe you were gonna be able to sing up there because your voice sounded like not good at all.
Be like, give me a moment, I need to mature, I haven't even hit puberty yet.
Literally.
I'm like,
He was like
give me a
7
couple
years
years.
old.
Exactly, like
I'm
all
like,
this pressure.
give me a couple years. But thankfully, I had enough support, enough support from people, my teachers and all that, who helped me out. And
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like most of my life, I mean, I've centered a lot of what I do around singing, music, and all this and that, and I've been able to grow in many things. Like through these past couple of years, I've been growing a little bit more through piano and all of that.
Yeah.
Trying to learn other instruments. I mean, I've grown a little bit away from some instruments like the drums, because some people take over and they're better than you. So,
Hey, that's good to recognize. Like, también, all right.
Look, there was a season where all I was into was drums. Then little brother comes up the scene and he takes over, and I'm actually pretty glad because he plays really, really good.
There you go. Oh, that's so cute.
Really, really good. So, I mean, it's just like that. So I feel like, well, I come from a musical family, and
Yeah.
so in El Salvador, my people be like, oh, tú tocas, tú cantas, y mi tía ya, eso ya viene de la familia, because all of my uncles, my dad's uncles, they're like into music and all that. And so, I mean, it feels like what I was born to do has to do with music. It has to be part of it, because that's part of who I am and part of my history and all that. So yeah.
Okay, we're gonna skip Emily real quick. We're gonna come back to us, Emily. But Emmanuel, dale, tu turno.
Sorry, I spoke too
Habla.
much.
It's okay.
No, you're good.
Yeah, like my brother said, well, me and him, we grown in church our entire lives.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's many options of stuff that you can do in church, and well, we've tried almost every single
Everything.
thing. So, like, we have experience in every single kind of like thing that you do at church.
Yeah.
Some things you stay in them for the long run.
Mm-hmm.
Some things you don't. But I mean, it's a learning thing. But yeah.
But now you're a drummer. The
Yeah.
best drummer, according to
He's a
Sam.
drummer, and now he's starting to sing a little bit more.
Yeah,
so-
yeah.
Oh, you are?
That's
Yeah.
what I mean by like progressing.
Yeah.
You can always find something else, like singing, like my brother said.
Okay, that's
yeah.
good.
Yeah.
All right, Emily.
Okay. Well, let's see. Well, for as long as I can remember, I've always been in the classroom. Those of you that know me, my mom has been the directors for the children's ministry for I don't even know how long, probably since I was born, and probably a little bit before that.
No, before
Yeah, a
that.
little bit before that. Yeah. So it's always been in me, like Sam said. It already runs in his family.
Yeah.
My aunts and my uncles, they're all teachers and in El Salvador. One of my uncles, he's like the director for the school. So it's just in us. Like we've always had a teaching heart. And all of us work with younger kids. Like that's always been us. I have dabbled in other things in church apart from teaching. For some of y'all that know, some of y'all don't, dancing and like music as well. I did play piano for a little bit. I realized it was not for me. But I've always had un corazón servicial. So for as long as I can remember, I've always been the type of like, where can I help? Where can I be? Where can I be of service? Like I wanted to do it all. I realized very early on I can't do it all. I would stress. I would be like, this is not my best. I know it's not my best. And I would strive to do more. And then I've always considered myself like, I'm good at a lot of stuff. I'm not great at everything. So I would always be like, okay, what is the one thing that I can really do good? Let me stick with that. And then I would get really good at one thing and another thing and another thing. And I would be like, okay, you know what? There's a time for everything. This is my time to do this one thing. We're going to get more into it later. But like, this is my time to do this. This is my time to do that. And I feel called for this right now. And then later in life, I'd be like, okay, my time is up. Time to do something else.
Yeah. Okay. I am the only one at the table who is currently not serving in church. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, I'm not serving at church, but a little bit of like, I guess, what I used to do. I was not the líder de jóvenes, but a líder de jóvenes. We were like divided into groups, and so I was leading a group, and then I was like in the dance team. I would be the one who will bring up projects to the church, who would have to like make that happen. What else? I've done a little bit of like the social media part at our current church. I don't do that anymore. And that's it. That's all I've done. Oh, I was in the dance team. I said that right?
Yes.
I was in the dance team.
Yes.
Okay. And that's pretty much it. But I'm not serving currently at church. And so this is where I was like, in our new church, we have all of these different areas where we could serve, right? And so for some reason, I thought for a while that the only way that you can serve God is if you serve in church. And so I was like, well, ¿a dónde me meto? Like, en cuál quepo? Like, what should I do? Like, should I go into the youth ministry? Should I help out in social media? They have a dance team at our church now. So I'm like, should I do dance again? But when I really would like look back and consider the dance team, I was like, no, I was the leader the English service at our old church.
Yes,
She used to
I
preach
forgot that.
really well.
Okay, let's not say that.
Well, I heard her sermons and they were good.
Literally.
Like her blushing.
I know. Like, what? Okay. Because just to think about that makes me really nervous. I don't know how I did that, but
She did good.
yeah. But yeah, so I was like, what can I do, right? Because I need to serve God, so I need to serve in the church. Pero cada vez que pensaba en unas cosas, I would be like, dance ministry. Like, no, eso like literally was a thing that I did, and I did it with all my heart at that time.
Yeah.
But I know that I have grown from that, and not like I can't do it. I still have the skill. Like, si me pongo probably to dance now, like I'm pretty sure that I still got it.
I still got it.
But it's not where I feel that I want to do right now. It's not like this is the best use of what God has given me to put in ese momento, like ahorita. And so then I kept on looking around, and then I did social media. That was the last thing that I did at church. And then it was really like conflicting. Like I was starting to get burned out because I still had Viveza to do, which I do everything with Viveza except make the shirts. Or the hoodies or everything else that we do. I don't make that part, but everything else about it I do. And so I was starting to get burned out. And so then I realized, I was like, wait, the whole point of Viveza is to bring people to Jesus. It's for people to know about them and to know that he's called us for responsibility here on earth, and that is to be the salt and light of the world. And so then I was like, okay, I am still serving God.
This is your way of preaching his word
It's
and
not
reaching out to
having
people.
to be like at church. Yes, if you don't have anything outside of it, come on. Like, it'll be really nice. But, I'm still doing God's work. And so, next question. Do you guys feel like, from reading these verses, right? Aquí dice que the servant got together and delegated responsibilities according to their abilities. Okay, since we all have dabbled into different things, what do you guys think about that? Like when you hear this or when you read this verse here, what really comes into perspective for you de que ese versículo está dando a entender? Emily.
You calling people out today. Okay.
I am.
Okay, say that question one more time.
Girl, what? That was a whole paragraph.
Yeah.
So like hearing like, okay, God, the master, right?
Yeah.
Gives everybody depending on their abilities.
Yes.
So el hombre sabio sabía, se le daba a cada uno que sabía que tenía que hacer o que podía hacer. So what does that like mean into like you reading it or you like just glancing at it? What does that give you? Like what perspective or what message is that giving you?
Okay, so for me, I think of like from the best to the worst, right? So
Yeah.
the best servant, al mejor siervo le dio 10,000. 10,000? Sorry, cinco.
Al mejor, and did it say the mejor? It didn't. It just said to one, he gave 5,000. To another, he gave 2,000.
Yes. Okay, he didn't mention them 1, 2, 3, the
Like, it
best to
wasn't
the
ranked.
worst. Yeah, there was no rank. He was just like, I'm gonna give this person and this one and this one. But it did say he knew their capabilities and their abilities. So I'm assuming that he was like, I know what you're gonna do with this money, so I can trust you. That I'm like, I'm not gonna give you more than what I think you can handle. Okay, so I think of like the person that got the 5,000, the 5,000 monedas. I bet he was like, okay, I trust that when I come back, this is not going to be the same amount anymore.
Yeah.
To the one person that he only gave 1,000, de le dio 1,000. He was like, I don't know. I'm a trust you. I'm gonna see what you're gonna do with this, with what I'm giving you. But I bet you anything, knowing their capabilities, knowing what they're able to do and can handle, he would not have given the person that he gave 5,000. He wouldn't have given him 1,000
So
because
then
he
that
knew he
makes
was gonna miss out on 4K.
So I'm gonna ask another question. Okay. Do you think, because I'm just thinking, right? Like, okay, if I'm a manager, I'm gonna trust people
Yes.
according to what they have proven so
Yeah.
far, right? Years of
Right.
experience and how you've handled different tasks that I've given you. So would you say now, all of you here at the table, would you have been trusted with the 5,000?
Look, there was a time.
Let's talk about it.
I'm gonna put myself on the spot. There was a time in my life, and it's still going on now, where I would look at my mom, and I'm still trying to figure out who I am, what I want to do in life, what my career is gonna look like. Maybe let's say, maybe a decade ago. Okay, I know that sounds a lot. I'm still young, but a decade ago, I was like looking around, thinking, man, like my mom does so much. We're still talking about like in church. I would be like, man, for a children's director, like ministry, like my mom does a lot. Like she would plan out these curriculums. There was no, here's the curriculum that we got offline. No. She would plan it out. And this is what we're going to be teaching all year. And constantly I had these teachers come up to me, just like how they would come to you. And they would be like, oh, your mom's so incredible. Like, da-da-da-da-da. Like, oh my goodness. La hija de la hermana. I don't know. You're your mother's daughter.
That was your
my
nickname
thing.
for a long time.
Yes. So I would hear that. I would take it and be like, I have to be like my mom.
Yeah.
First of all, hearing everything, seeing everything that she would do, I'm like, look, I got some big shoes to fill. And then for a while, I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing to get there. And then I had to take a step back and be like, wait, is this what I want? Is this what God has called me to do? Am I called to be the next director for the children's ministry? And that's not even something I even gave a thought to. I was just like, that's my legado. That is the legacy that my mom's going to leave behind. And then I was like, first of all, who am I to say that like that's what God it has called me to do? Like I'm not choosing that. That's something that God has to choose for me, because who knows if I'm even capable of it. And in that time, when I was having these thoughts, I was like, I know, Lord, that at this very moment, that's not something that you want for me. Yeah, I may want it as much as I want, but God's like, nah, this is not for you. And you know it. And I'll be like, you know what? Okay, I will be thankful and I will do as much as I can, being a teacher, not a director. I remember my mom spending countless of nights and hours and weekends just sitting, and I would be over here in the computer typing everything away, making her lessons, calendars, everything. And I would just sit back and be like, I would just be like in awe, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, I'm a teacher for this reason, and she's a director for this reason.
Yeah.
And I am not up to her level, because I know that if I was,
So then you feel like you'll be like the 2000?
I feel like I'll be the 2000. Maybe not the 1000. Maybe the 2000. And I had to like sit back and realize, okay, there's a reason she is where she is, because of years of experience, things that she has learned along the way, the teachers that she had next to her, things that she has witnessed, seen, and has grown from.
Yeah.
Things that 17-year-old me wouldn't have even known.
Yeah.
Now that I'm 27.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that the talents that God gives you when you are in your teenage years will not be the talents that he gives you in your grown-up life, in your adulthood.
Depends,
but they won't be used the same way. That's just my opinion. That I think that like the way that I teach now, because I'm still teaching in the church, I haven't found anything else that I want to do. I do. I have found what I want to do, but it's not something that I think that the church is ready for, in my opinion. But let me just explain myself a little bit. Me personally, I've always had this dream. I don't know if I've shared it with anybody. I've always had un corazón servicial. And I've always wanted to work with the community. I even brought it up to one of the leaders in church, and they're like, "That's a great idea," but we haven't started that process yet. I've always been one to like, okay, what can I do in the community to make it better? Mm-hmm. Let's go out. Let's feed the hungry. Let's give out clothes. Let's give out all these things. And I'm like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I feel like I'm good at. This is what I feel like I could do to spread God's word. But as of right now, it's just a dream. I can't even do it right now. And I know that. And it's something that I like pray to God about all the time. And I'm like, Dios, prepárame, because when that day comes, when I know that you have me ready for what your vision is, I want to make sure I do it right. Mm-hmm. I want to make sure I don't lose money. I don't lose the money that you're going to give me. If you're going to give me $5,000, let me make sure that I don't lose it and end up with just $1,000. Let me give you 10,000 fold. Let me make up more money than what you're giving me. As in, like, the talento that you give me, el talento que tú me das, déjame crecerlo al momento, al punto donde mi talento pueda ayudarle a alguien más preparar el camino a llegar al punto donde ellos necesitan llegar.
Yeah.
Sam over here, he is singing. He's doing all these things in his church, leading the worship team. He is preparing people, singing and teaching them how to hold the chord, how to hold the note. But if he wouldn't have learned how to do that when he was younger and build that talent up, he wouldn't be teaching. He wouldn't be over here showing other people how to do it. First, he had to refine his talent. He had to learn how to use it in order to be able to show someone else. So, yeah. Okay. That's what I think about that. That God knows what we are capable of. God knows what we can be trusted with. And I know that for me personally, I'm not where I want to be, because he's like, I can only trust you with $2,000 right now. You're not ready to be out in the community. Yeah, you're not ready for the 5. Build your way there. Build your other $2,000. Bring me my interest. Mm-hmm. And when you're ready and you show me that proof that, okay, you could handle this, now I know you can handle $5,000. Now I know that you may bring me back that interest, double it, maybe even triple it. But until you can prove it to me with this $2,000, I can't give you the $5,000.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? Where are you at? $1,000, $2,000, $5,000?
I feel like how Emily was saying is like a growing process.
Yeah.
The definition of talent is natural and skill. So you can be either natural at it or grow the skill.
Yeah.
Even if it's natural, you still have to grow it regardless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, I mean, you could be at that $1,000 point.
Yeah.
And grow to those $5,000.
For sure.
And it really depends on how cómo estás con Dios,
Yeah.
How devoted you are to Him, and your mentality. Because in this same like story, La Parábola, it talks about taking risks.
Yeah.
It talks about taking risks, and well, that's the thing that we have to know, that if you, like a Bible verse says, la fe sin obra es muerta.
Yep.
So if you have faith but you don't work it,
yeah,
it's dead.
Yeah.
So at the same time, though I might be on level 1, 2, or 5, I still have to work it. And I think personally I would be at that level 2, at the 2000,
Yeah.
like Emily said, because
Yeah.
I mean, we still have a long way to go. I'm just 16
You're
years
just
old.
starting. Yeah.
I'm just starting.
Yeah.
So
Well,
like,
not just starting, but you got some years under your belt.
yeah, I mean, we have a long way to go. We have
Yeah.
a long race to run.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe later on I would have been definitely in the thousands, because I feel like my devotion to God, how it is right now, is not the same as how it was before.
Exactly.
So I mean,
So you feel like God only could trust you with 1,000?
right now?
No, back then.
Back then, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you have to like think about
Okay,
yourself.
you're growing.
Yeah. So I mean, that's growing steps. And,
For sure.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said the mentality part.
That's what I was gonna say.
Because literally, like at the end, right, the master wasn't furious de que el man no trajo $2,000.
Yeah.
He was furious
About his mentality.
about his mentality.
That he didn't even
state.
try.
Yes, that part where it was like, it's criminal to live cautiously like that. If you knew I was after the best, did you do less than the least? So it's like, dude, like in español, I think it says even like a little bit stronger donde dice the guy is confessing, right? Señor, yo sabía que usted es un hombre muy exigente, que pide hasta lo imposible, por eso me dio miedo y escondí el dinero bajo la tierra. It's all a mentality thing. So it's like, dude, like, you know that God has placed talents in you, right?
Yeah.
And like you said, naturally, or even things that que quizás te metieron en una área de the church a la fuerza. Let's say that your mom or your dad te metieron a la fuerza, whatever. Pero like somehow it ended up being a good thing for you. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's like a skill que like aprendiste o lo que sea. But the part is like not being scared to even take that that step of like growing at it. Let me see if I can mature this skill, this talent that God has given me. Let me see if I can multiply this to do it. It's all like mentality.
And it's crazy that like if you look at the story, obviously this person, the
servant, the
No,
master.
no. The master, yes, sorry, I couldn't even think of the word for some reason. The master knew his servants. The master knew his people.
Yeah.
The people knew their master.
Yes.
Every single
Yes.
one knew who he was. Every single one knew what he expected, what he wanted of them. The only difference was their mentality.
Yep.
Yeah.
The first two, they did what they were supposed to do. They were like, we know him. We not about to be
Playing with this man's
chastised.
money.
Nah. Like, we are gonna take the risk, but we're gonna make sure that it's not worth it. We're gonna make sure that we, one, bring back his money, and two, bring it back with interest. The other guy did the same thing. He's like, we know this man. We know what he's expecting of us, but you know what? I'm not about to like risk
like what
it.
if I lose
I'm
it?
not. I'm not about to put his money on the line. I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna bring his money back, but I'm not gonna bring him anymore because I am not willing to risk it.
It's funny because this week actually algo me pasó. I lost some money for my job.
Oh my god. Okay, let's talk about
So,
it.
I know. It's so crazy. I've been working at this clinic for 7 years, and in the 7 years, almost 8 this año, I'm gonna be 8 years in that company with that clinic. Y nunca me había pasado. Never in the 8 years has this happened to me, okay? Pero we collect cash for patients' co-pays, deductibles, co-insurances, whatever. We collect it, right? And we collect cash, we collect credit cards. The only thing that we don't collect is checks. Well, for the last amount of years de que he trabajado, whenever we collect cash, I am the one that is responsible to take it to the bank and deposit it, okay? So, last week, I collected $140 in una mañana, pero it was like as soon as we opened the clinic, it was at 8:30. This lady came in and she paid for her surgery and she paid it in cash. But it was like as soon as I opened the door, like she was allá afuera, right? And so I did the transaction. I gave her receipt. In that moment, I guess, I'm saying I guess because I do not remember this. I guess I made a copy of the deposit slip, whatever, and I put it all in an envelope. Okay, ese fue un jueves. El jueves en la noche, all of a sudden our plans changed. I thought I was just going to be home, but no, we went to the rodeo.
Oh, yes.
Y ese día estaba lloviendo. So anytime that is over $100, I have to make the deposit the same day. Like, I cannot wait until the next day, whatever. So me fui temprano de mi trabajo so I can stop at the bank. Pero it was the beginning of the month. Y es cuando toda la gente está at the bank to pay their mortgage. So, y más aparte estaba lloviendo.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So the line of the bank estaba hasta afuera and it's raining.
Oh,
and so I'm like, I have this rodeo to go to that I have to go change and whatever. I don't want to stand in the rain because one, allergy season, cuando llueve, es cuando más siento lo pollen. And then I can get sick. And then the line is like out the door a saber cuánto tiempo voy a estar aquí. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just go home and I'll deposit it tomorrow, which was a Friday. Oh, like when I think about it,
Just thinking about it, oh my
god. So I come home, Friday happens, I get out of clinic, and me and my friend, my coworker, we decide to go to a store together. And so I'm like, I'm not gonna make her wait. I'm just gonna go on Monday. Pero yo tenía el dinero conmigo en mi backpack. So entonces venimos, whatever. I left the money arriba de mi dog's cage over the weekend. You guys were here over the weekend.
Yes.
And whatever. So then dejé el dinero y el deposit allí. Come Monday, I grab the envelope and I go and I grab my backpack, whatever, y me voy. And I go to the bank and the money's not there. $140 not there.
Gone.
And I'm like, hold up, what happened?
Something ain't right.
Wait, so you had the envelope, but the money wasn't there?
Exactly. On Monday, right? And I was like, no freaking way. No, because si te pierdes dinero, you have to
replace it.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then you're stealing it.
Yes.
And I'm not a thief.
Exactly.
So I'm like, I'm about to pay this $140. I was like, no, I don't want to do this. But obviously, I'm trying to like backtrack my steps. And the worst part is de que no me acuerdo qué pasó ese jueves. Because the weird part is de que normally I do not put a patient's receipt in the envelope con el dinero. It's just a deposit slip and the money. But for some reason, the patient's receipt was in the envelope. So I was like, ¿será que le di el dinero de regreso a la señora?
Oh, good.
¿Será que like I lost? ¿Será que like I had the money in my desk and I had paper and I put it in the shred bin?
And I even looked at this envelope.
Que, like,
I was like, I saw it because like, I normally put where she's talking about like on top of her dog cage. For those of y'all don't know, I used to work with her. I worked there almost 4 years. No, 3, almost. Yeah, por ahí. But I always put my bag right next to the dog cage on the floor. I see the envelope. I recognize the logo. I get the envelope and I pull it up to the light and I'm like, oh, she has money in here. Oh, no. Okay. So I put it back down and I put it like al ladito so it wouldn't fall off the cage because I was like, nah, this is important. Let's scoot it over a little. So I was like, because I already knew the deal with this. So and I was gonna tell you that moment. You should put this away. You shouldn't leave it here.
I know.
But we got wrapped up in some other things and I forgot. Yes.
So then I'm like going crazy. I'm like at my job. I'm like at this point I'm crying because not only like I'm like. I'm already feeling burned out kind of from my job, but that's a whole different podcast. So I'm like, not only did I feel like burned out, but now I have made a big mistake.
And now you got to replace it.
Obviously, I have to replace it. So me va a costar. But it's like, dude, like I can't even remember what happened. Like I have no recollection of like what, who, how, when, where, whatever. Come about en la tarde, Oscar viene a la casa y el dinero está tirado en el piso. It's like on the floor. So I guess what happened on Monday is like cuando agarré el envelope and I got my backpack, the envelope estaba flipped, so se cayó el dinero. Life came back to my body, and then everything was good again.
At least you got the $140 back.
But the whole part is like I was scared of like
Losing
the money, and then not only that, like obviously getting in trouble at work because
Losing trust.
I know my employers, and this is not something as every employer should be like. That's something that they shouldn't let it fly, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good one. Okay, Sam, you ready? A ti te toca. Where are you at? The 2K. Anyways, sorry. Before I pass it back to you,
Yeah.
I'm at the 2K. Dale.
Okay. Not to brag or anything, but I feel like I feel like I'm still in the 2K. I mean, I feel like I've
Do you
grown.
really use?
No.
Hace ratito you said you were 5.
No, I never said I was 5.
Oh.
I can see. I said, would you feel like you're trusted with the 5? Dije
The
al
2 or the
principio y
1?
vos dijiste que sí.
Oh.
I heard you.
When did I say
We're
that?
gonna have to replay this
We're
video.
gonna have to.
Replay.
We're gonna have to
Replay.
replay that. I don't remember that.
I don't
If
re-
not, I was unconscious. Okay?
I have it right here.
We have it. That was it.
No, well, cause I feel like at some point in life I've felt like me he sentido digamos conforme con lo que estoy haciendo, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, oh, this is what I do and I like to do this, but
Yeah.
sometimes there's still a lot of other things that I have to do and that I know that I can do, but sometimes you need to plan things out and this and that and all of that shabazz, you know, and sometimes you end up not doing it. So I feel like, yes, I feel like I've done a lot. I've been in a lot of things. I've been able to manage a whole bunch of things, but to my standard, to what I think I am capable of doing, to what I let's say, to what I think I can handle. I think maybe I haven't given it my all. Maybe I've just stayed digamos un poco conforme. Yeah, I do sing this weekend, and yeah, I'm gonna stick with this and this and that. So I feel like, yeah, I do feel like there's a lot more that I can grow in. So
Okay. So I don't know about you, Emmanuel, but I know for sure you, Sam, you do a lot already. Right? Have you ever, porque let's say that somebody's just starting in church, okay? Let's say that they're at the 1K, because I'm pretty sure that this master le dio al 1K probably at the new person, right? Que no tienen ninguna experiencia, maybe you're just starting, whatever the case may be. So let's say that una persona nueva comes to church or whatever, and so they're like listening, right? But you do a lot right now. You're involved in a lot of things. You're involved in the youth.
Yeah.
You're involved in the choir, and I'm not sure what else are you involved in, but I know those are the two.
I know it's a lot.
And that alone is a lot, exactly. And then
It
now
is.
you're helping us with it. So that's 3 things, más aparte saber qué más haces.
my job.
And so it's like, have you ever felt the feeling of burnout? Like you can bring back the 2K de que se te ha dado?
Look, let's say this. Have I felt that feeling? For sure.
Okay.
Okay. Pero como la palabra de Dios dice, traigan a mí todas sus cargas
Yeah.
y todos,
Yeah.
que yo osaré descansar. I do that every single time. That helps me cope with it, and that helps me grow even more. I'm like, yes, let's say, there's an option to leave things behind, but if I want to see the change, if I want to see something different, I gotta at least put myself in, let's say, through a starting process, because every starting process is difficult.
For sure.
Everything you start with is difficult. So I feel like I at least gotta get myself through, start with the starting process. And thankfully, I've seen how how the things that I am doing is helping out others. Like now I have a choir team, they're growing.
Yeah.
I'm starting to see, oh, there's talents here. They're gonna help me out in the future to help me lead these couple of groups and this and that. So I'm like right now I gotta put in all that I know I'm capable of doing right now.
Yeah.
And all that God knows I'm capable of doing right now. So I'm like...
So that mentality state te ha ayudado not to get burned out, or when you do, know what to do with it.
Yeah, and I just put it to God. And sometimes, yes, I do feel like I'm exhausted, like I don't want to keep doing this anymore. But then sometimes I feel like maybe that's how I grew up. I just remember, no, I don't do this because of anybody else. I don't do this for myself because I shouldn't even be here. There's no reason for me being here. God could have chosen someone else.
Yeah. That's a good one.
So I'm like, no, I have to give it my all. If I can, and if I still can keep moving on, I will keep walking that road. And I'm like, Satanas, I rebuke. I rebuke.
I see you and I rebuke you.
I see you and I rebuke you. Every mentality of staying behind, nope, hell no. I rebuke.
Yes.
I rebuke. So, and I'm starting to see the progress. I'm starting to see, like, one of these days I was looking at one of my friends and it just remembered me because it was when I was trying to get him more into Christ and all that. And then me and my brother were looking at him. He was like encouraging other youth, and I was like, whoa, where did this come from? And I was like, whoa, it's helping out. All that risk that I took, like helping
ahora puedes ver los frutos.
Estoy empezando a mirar los frutos. So I'm like, that helps me move on forward. And I want to keep moving on forward because, como dijo Pablo, like, esta es una carrera.
Yeah.
Like, you got to keep moving on.
Yeah.
So, okay. Okay, so not a question, but like your thoughts. Okay, so just how the first two servants, they invested their money and gave it back to their masters twofold, and van y les da el dinero y se lo regresan aún con interés. Let's talk about it in talents, right? God gives you certain talents, certain things that you're really good at, that you're capable of doing, and you know, you're like, whether I was called to do this or not, I'm good at this, and you know it. Okay, so those are your talents. But what about, like, let's say God's like, I know what you can handle, you've proven it, so here's more. Como le quitó el talento al último siervo, God took the one and only talent that he had and gave it to the number one servant that made it. And he was like, since you made me the most money, here's the rest. Here, I'm gonna give you what somebody else couldn't handle. Now, wait a minute. That's not to say that that's for you to keep. Because remember, this is his money. This is the master's money.
Okay.
Let's not forget that. Okay. Now, a lot of people take it and they're like, "Okay, I made it. This is for me. That I did it. See, I proved myself. I'm worthy. I'm capable." And they run with it, and they forget that it was given for a reason, for a purpose. And they take it and let's not forget to give him glory now. Now, okay, let's say that God gives you a talent and he's like, and you're like, oh, I can do this, I'm so good at it, on top of something else that he already gave you, and you're like, I'm gonna use this and I'm gonna make sure that I can, like, use it. But what if God gave you that talent so you can give it to somebody else, pay it forward, because you don't know if he gave you that to influence somebody else. Because I think of the second servant, that he didn't get anything, but he still gave God something. What if, this is me speculating, okay? Not in the Bible, but
disclaimer.
Not in the Bible, disclaimer. What if the first servant that was given more, God was like, look, both of y'all did good, both of y'all made it, but this first servant, I'm giving you more because the second servant needs to learn more. And I want you
Está en el
to
proceso.
be able to learn from this experience, take it in, and grow. Because sometimes I look back and I really think, me myself, okay? I think, and I'm like, okay, God, you gave me the talent to dance. I was not the best dancer. I really wasn't. And I knew I could do it. I could do it. I definitely could. If not, you wouldn't have left me in charge. I would have not been the leader when you left. When you went on to greater and bigger things. Now, not to say that like I was like, oh, I got this made. No, I knew. I was like, oh, this is gonna be
you were
a
kinda
learning
worried.
process.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I look back and I'm like, in that moment, God gave me this talent because I know that everything that I'm doing, everything that I am applying here, hopefully, okay, will stay with these little girls that are learning how to dance. They're staying with them. It's being ingrained in them. They are learning why we are doing what we are doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sat them down. I gave them lessons. I gave them kind of like una enseñanza and how dance started and why we do what we do, things like that. And obviously, I didn't continue dancing.
Yeah.
I only did it for that time frame in my life. I look back now and I visit you guys' church, and a lot of the little girls that were in that dance team go to your church. And I remember I was there for that I think it was Culto de Jóvenes. You had a youth service, and after that y'all had a little like after get together, after party. I don't know if it was the Jóvenes or the Culto de Niños, but y'all had an after party, and I was like, okay.
And now after party at church.
Yeah,
First
I know.
time you hear here,
exactly.
folks. I'm just kidding.
So I stayed and I was like, I'm gonna hang out with y'all. And of course,
this was on Sunday. Sí, era el culto de niños.
Yeah. And then y'all had like a little mini karaoke and everything, and y'all were singing, and I see all these little girls stand up and they just start dancing. So I look at them and I wonder if I would have turned down, the opportunity to be their leader, where would they be? Would they be serving? Would they still be a part of church? Because I remember we drove. We have our own cars.
Yeah.
These little girls had to be driven to church by their parents, tias, uncles, whatever. They had to be taken to church, which also made the parents be like, well, we also have to be involved in church. We also have to come and present ourselves because our children are in this and they have responsibilities.
Yeah.
And I always wonder, I'm like, okay, what if this one talento that God gave me at that time, what if I didn't use it? What if yo lo hubiera enterrado? ¿Qué tal si ese talento que Dios me hubiera dado lo hubiera enterrado y no lo hubiera usado? And be like, you know what, Lord, I'm gonna keep this to myself, worship the way that I have learned, and just not share it, not teach it to anybody, and leave it just on the side. Where would these people have been? Would they be singing? Would they be dancing? Would they be working with the teachers? Would they be doing something? Or would they not even be in church anymore?
Yep.
It really makes me wonder. And I had one of the little girls' mom come up to my mom, and she was like, honestly, like, I don't know, like, where us as a family would be, because this little girl would always tell us, Mom, we have to go, we're running late, I have dance practice, we have to go. And now that she's singing, she tells her the same thing, like, Mom, I have choir practice, like, I gotta go. And now she's like also getting, like, the parent, she's also getting involved in church, because she's like she's such an example to me.
Yeah.
She's so responsible, and she's always on point, and she's always like, she has such a drive and a passion to serve the Lord that she's like, it makes me be like accountable to myself and be like, what am I doing in the church? And I see that as like the last servant that didn't use the talent that God gave him, didn't bring it twofold, didn't bring the interest. I see the interest, I see it in these little girls. What if I hadn't used that talent? What if I didn't lead dance for the one time that I had for those couple of years that I felt inadequate, or I felt like, well, no, I can't do it the best. I'm not the most flexible, I'm not the most knowledgeable, but what I do know, what I can do, I'm gonna be able to like share it with these little girls.
Yeah.
So just food for thought.
All right. That was a good one. So, with that said, we're going to go into our random question of the day. You ready to answer?
Yes.
Okay, Emmanuel, we're going to start with you, so be ready.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go.
If you had 24 hours to live, like if the doctor would tell you, or God would tell you, hey, en 24 horas te llevo, what would you do? What would you do in those 24 hours?
I would just keep living how I'm living right now.
Like you won't go to work?
Huh?
You're gonna go to work, you're gonna,
Yeah, just
do your 8 hours, come home.
Yeah.
You would?
Yeah. Just
Like nothing?
normal day.
Okay. All right. Sam,
I don't know.
24 hours to live. Come on.
I kind of feel like I would have this very long service.
Oh, Lord.
This is
I'd be
gonna be my
like,
funeral
guys,
service, but like,
This is like my funeral, but we're rejoicing right now. We're rejoicing right now. You better dance because in my last day I'm watching you dance. So I don't know. I feel like that's something I would do.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. Emily?
I never really thought about this, but now thinking about it, after
24 hours.
y'all went through that, it makes me think. I'm like, I think I would I would run to my cousin, make her promise me that she's gonna at least try to go to church, because I love her kids so much. I'm like, I'm gonna need you to at least try to go to church once, because I'm not letting your soul go to waste if you not at least try. And then I would get my people. I would get all my people, be like, Sam, I'm gonna need you to like hold a worship service. We go sing and dance and everything. We're gonna party it up, because I'm not about to go down all miserable y toda triste que me voy a morir. Like, this is the end of the world. No. Yeah, I'm gonna pass away, but you know what? Before I do, I'm gonna sing my heart out. I'm gonna dance. I'm gonna praise as much as I can, because this is the last time I'm gonna be able to do that in person with all of y'all.
Man, now that I think of it,
and then,
now that I think of
that's
it.
Okay. If I had 24 hours to live, number one, I will make sure that all of my life policies are on check. I'm going to tell all of the beneficiaries. I'm going to be like, hey, so-and-so, ahí te dejé a good chunk of money. So-and-so, tú también. So-and-so, tú también. I'm going to... leave them set up, because I don't know when's y'all time to go, but I gotta go. And then I would call my family, I would call my friends, like my people, like who I love dear and like whatever, and I will like have them, like I'll make them dinner, like I'll make them like a spread, like a dinner or whatever, and then be like, hey, I know that maybe you have work, maybe you have things to do, but would you mind spending 24 hours with me, or whatever, however long. And then do the same thing. Like, not only would we worship, but I'm like, let's live stream it. So then aquí ustedes también se pueden acordar when I was here with y'all, because y'all were blessed to have me.
Say y'all were blessed.
You have been blessed. You have been blessed.
I love how you were so confident with that.
I know, but I'm just kidding. But
I'm gonna resurrect before y'all though.
But I was like, I will live stream it, because I want to make sure that those last 24 hours, not only am I having and we're having a good time worshiping the Lord, but anybody else who connects to the live stream, if they haven't met God, that would be the opportunity to be like, hey, this is not a sad time, but I'm actually like going to see Jesus, you guys.
We would be.
This is my goodbye for you.
We would be like, revival.
Yes, not revival, because for y'all, because I'm going. If Jesus would tell me himself, hey, te levanto, I'm at the curb. I'm like, bye, let's go. I'm ready to go.
Where you at? I'm out here. I'm outside.
I'm up there. Where you at?
Okay.
But that's what I would do. All right.
We ready for ourselves?
Okay, so our favorite song of the week. Are you ready?
I can go first.
Solo do at like 7 minutes at the most, just because YouTube recognized the other songs el otro día. I didn't get a strike or anything, but they were like, hey, what's up with this song?
7 seconds?
Yeah, 7 seconds of your song. So whatever favorite song you have, you better put the favorite part.
Okay.
Oh man. Oh man. I really gotta think of this.
Okay. Whoa. I'm ready.
Dale, Sam. ¿Cómo se llama?
I always come with my upper room music, worship music. I don't know. I love upper room, so. Okay.
¿Cómo se llama? ¿Cómo se llama?
Is I Just Love You. It's like a love song or love letter to God. So
Oh, that's cute. From Upper Room.
I like
Okay.
it. Oh.
Emily?
Okay. This one is called Somos Iglesia, and it's by
By
Un
Un
Corazón, which is
I like Un
slowly
Corazón.
becoming like my favorite group now.
Yeah, I like Un Corazón.
Okay.
I think we're good.
All right. Okay, my turn. My song of the week is called A Tu Manera, and it's by Funky and Inlight.
He intentado a mi manera una y otra vez, pero cuando lo hago todo me sale.
Okay.
That's good.
Sorry.
That's good enough.
That's 7 seconds. Dale tu turno.
Te busqué incansablemente, créeme lo que te busqué.
Tell me when to stop.
No, I don't know.
Yes.
7 seconds, yeah.
No te divisé.
What is it called?
Te busqué. Jesús Romero.
Oh, I haven't heard of Jesus in a while.
I like the song because, well, the song says te busqué aquí. Like, it just shows, like, it's a song. It just says te busqué en tantos lugares y estabas a mi lado. Like, sometimes that can be our relationship with God. We're looking for happiness in so many places when it's right next to us.
Preach.
Oh, that's true. You need to say, why do you like it? Okay,
Oh, yeah.
you just did yours.
Okay, yeah.
Now going this way again. Mine was A Tu Manera, and it's because it's saying, like, I've done everything that I can. I've done everything. I've done the work. I've done this and I've done that. But nada me ha salido bien. So
Yeah.
now I'm just going to leave it and I'm going to, like, do it a tu manera. Whatever it is that you're calling me to do, however it is that you want me to do it, even if it doesn't make sense to me, a tu manera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dale tú.
Mine is Se llama Somos Iglesia. So it's literally talking about what the church is and what they believe in, what they represent. So to me, I like that song because it really goes in with it's kind of like, I don't want to say like a anthem, but in the song it says
It's kind of-
our song is La
cruz.
tumba vacía, la cruz, la cruz y la tumba vacía. So it's kind of like reminding people we're Christian because of this reason, because of what he did for us, and we are no longer lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and I chose my song to be that because I don't know. I think everything that keeps me rolling, keeps me going forward is God and my love for Him. So I'm like, here, God, here's my love letter to you. Yeah.
All right, so that's it for today's podcast. We just want to leave you with a little bit, and that is like, if you have many talents and you don't know what to do, just either do them all and see which way. The Holy Spirit will really tell you a donde tú tienes que ir, como like my song, a tu manera, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like, what is it that you want us to do? Like, really tap into that, to have that communication with the Holy Spirit and allow Him to guide you a donde es que Él quiere que te lleve y cómo quiere que lo hagas.
Yeah.
Al igual, if you're just starting church and you don't know what to serve, where to serve, or what to do for God, no tengas miedo con un talento que Dios te está dando.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No tengas miedo y nada más entiérralo y no hagas nada con él. Ponlo
Yeah.
a trabajar, and do it and see what God is going to do in your life and the people around you that you're going to impact with that one talent that you have.
Yeah.
So keep on going, and that is it for today's podcast. We'll see you on the next one.
See
Bye.
y'all. Bye.